I. 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 Am. I. Am. I. Am. I. Am. I. Am.
Some.
I. Am.
Some.
Some. I. Am.
Some.
I.
Am.
Am.
Some.
I. Am.
Some. Body.
Body.
I
Am.
some. Body.
Body.
I
Am.
some. Body.
Body.
I
Am.
I
Body.
I
I.
I
I
am.
am somebody. I am greatness. I am love. I am divine. I am poetry. I am life. I am.
I am history. I am the future. I am hope. I am regret. I am forgotten. I will remember. I am always. I am now.
I am the future. I am life renewed. I am a grandmother. I am a daughter. I am an aunt. I am a sister. I am moving. I am moving. I am moving.
I am intellect. I am heart. I am body unbroken. I am body broken. I am me. I am you. I am no one. I am all. I am a beginning. I am a mystery. I am learning. I am. I am. I am.
I am feathers and dynamite. I move with lightning. I am. I am special. I am loved. I give love. I am. I'm black. I'm all that. I am more than chips. I am. I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
Somebody.
Somebody. I am somebody. I am somebody. I am somebody. I am
somebody.
I
Am
somebody. Thank you guys for being here with us. I am Erika Roberts, also known as Velvet Poetry. I want you to take a moment and where you are, get yourself comfortable, close your eyes for a moment. Take in this space for a moment. This piece here, the positioning of this piece, it being brought into this room speaks to I am. It speaks to who we are forever. It speaks wholeheartedly to these people and to those who don't know us, who we are. As you have your eyes closed, I want you to think of who you are. Let that resonate for a moment.
And think of who you are beyond the ways in which you normally identify. Don't think of yourself as a name or a profession. Think of who you are at your core. Beyond the things that other people would place on you, the things that are expected of you, who are you? Who is the being within the person? Who are you? And how often does that person feel manifested in the world? How often does your existence affirm that you are who you are? Is that reflected in the way other people treat you? Is it reflected in the way you live your daily life? Are there times when it's easier for who you are to come through, and times when it's a little harder? Who are you? Who are you?
As you open your eyes and you take a moment and look at this piece, we encourage you to begin at the top, just for this moment. Begin at the top and follow its verbiage. Follow how each line becomes even more unclear to the point where it becomes a muddled mess of identity. I can safely say that I've been there in that muddled part where I wasn't quite sure who I was artistically, life-wise, what?
Romantically?
Oh, Lord, let's not even go there. But yeah, that too. Not sure. And the way that this particular piece, how it actually brings that part to life, even the unclear parts, speaks to still the clear parts. And then vice versa. What if your beginning part is muddled? And through the movement, through life, through searching, through trying over and over again, you honestly find out who you are, that you can boldly say with such clarity that I am somebody. Jesse Jackson did a speech, and it was part of his campaign. I am old enough to remember him coming to Chattanooga. And I was a young girl in the audience. And I remember all of these hands above my head, and they had the fist in the air, and everyone was speaking, I am somebody, I am somebody. And my mom says that I walked around the house saying it over and over again, annoying everybody. But I feel like that was the beginning of Black people honestly knowing who they were in a place where they didn't know, where it wasn't known. And still, even to this day, there are rooms where a Black person asserting themselves as I am somebody. And it may not be nearly as bold as that, but it may be them asserting their intelligence. It may be them asserting who they are in their profession. Maybe it's them not speaking like the regular or what society says we're supposed to sound like. But to that moment, it feels as if we are now claiming and staking our own rights as to who we are.
And of course, this piece was created with that moment with Jesse Jackson in mind. And when I look at this, I think about the repetition in it. Like, this represents millions of people saying this millions of times over and over again. And the first time you hear it, as a Black person in America, it's powerful. Because it's not something we get told overtly very often. Especially not in a public space. Especially not with somebody who's running a whole campaign.
Right.
That the whole world's watching. But then as it gets said again and again and again, and time passes, sometimes the message gets lost. It's not as fresh as it was. It doesn't have the same clarity of meaning because now your somebody is merged in with everybody else's somebodies, and their somebody might not acknowledge your somebody. And so then what does this even mean at this point? Is it still have that weight? Does it still have that power? And so part of this is also, I feel, an exploration of reclaiming that assertion, of still being able to find your I am somebody even when it's muddied and it's not clear, but it's still there. The letters are raised slightly from the surface. So even where you can't see it, and I don't recommend doing this, but you could, theoretically, feel the words. So it's even a different way of engaging
Absolutely.
the idea,
Absolutely.
the reality of who you are.
Absolutely. So, opening it up, and you can throw out the words as you please. Think about it, toss it out. When you see this piece, what are the words that come to you? And you can speak them out loudly. When you immediately see this piece, what are the first things that come to mind?
Personal,
Mm-hmm.
repetition, bold,
Mm-hmm. 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 And what about its presence in this particular room?
black,
Absolutely. Unapologetically. Absolutely. What else? Is there a message that equates to us in 2020?
I think it's deserving to be in here because despite all of these pictures, that's what we're drawn to. Really sheds light on the bigger picture.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think of this, it's speaking to the room and that, hey, I matter, I have a place here.
Right. Right. Because during their times, we weren't supposed to be reading or writing.
Right.
So we wouldn't have technically known what that was saying if it was technically.
We couldn't even receive the message.
Exactly. That was my point. Message couldn't have made it to us because we wouldn't have known it. But let's go deeper and further into that. So knowing that this room, what silent but loud secrets it holds. For me, still weird in here to me. Creepily weird. We can safely say that the value of women and Black people was not ever thought of during their times. Can we safely say that?
And also, as Adara stated in the introduction, this is also the work of a gay Black man.
Absolutely. I was
They had absolutely no concept.
Right. Even more so,
Yeah.
right? So for me to stand here and speak, for you to stand here and speak,
We shouldn't even exist.
not in this room.
Not at all.
Not in this room, we're not supposed to be. And how dare I be a Black woman that speaks loudly? How dare you?
I think it's interesting that it starts very clear.
Yeah.
Like the first time I say that I matter, it's gonna be clear. It's gonna be like I delivered it. But then as the piece goes down, it's like it's been said so many times that they're almost losing confidence in what is even written.
And what else might cause a person to lose that clarity in their sense of self?
Right.
If we're thinking of this as a journey,
Right. This is life.
in either direction, in all directions, somebody starts up there, what might bring them more towards the bottom of this?
Combating forces,
Such as anything specific come to mind?
Ideas, people, groups of people.
Prejudice.
Yeah.
I think in the spirit of this piece and the speech that inspired it, prejudice gets a lot of us starting here.
Why do we even need to say it?
Right.
Yeah, why do we need to
Why was
come
there a
from
poem
here?
first, then Jesse Jackson, and then this why?
And then this piece.
Because they're in
now
all
it's here.
3 different times.
Yeah.
Why?
This conversation is a 4th iteration of this idea.
Right. So there is still a sense of not enough, not knowing, I'm not valued.
Right.
Still. That's exhausting.
Well, and you know,
So exhausting.
we talked about this in the context of the era in which these people on the walls lived, and alluded to the time when Jesse Jackson made that speech
Right.
and was doing his tour.
Right.
Those are all situations wherein we have black people asserting our identity in spaces. Is it any different now? Ms. Joyce, you want to speak on that?
You know, my thing of I am somebody, you know, and then when, you know, we was less than human, you know, that just does something right there. Yeah.
It's a continuation.
Yeah.
Well, because one thing that I thought about when we were first meditating on this piece and kind of discussing it is I feel like this is symbolic of something that I feel happens almost every generation with black folks. There is a slogan, there is a mantra, there is an idea that we hold on to and that we put out into the world to assert ourselves, to try to get that bit of equality, or equity rather, that we're always striving for. I am somebody. I'm black and I'm proud. Black is beautiful. Black lives matter. Like, these are all things that, but when they emerge, they don't just emerge in a vacuum of blackness where everybody celebrates it. It is also met with a backlash. There are people who get upset, angry, even violent at the assertion when even a fragment of our community decides to rally around
That's right.
identity. Any thoughts on that?
And it's not, you know, we when we talked about this particular piece, we knew that it was going to be hard conversations, brave conversations. We knew that. We knew that it would be in a crowd of black and white people. But for me, it was just as important for white people to be present, to be a part of that conversation, to understand where that comes from, what happens, how it affects us. So if I'm standing in a room and I'm asserting all of my blackness, which is on a regular, and someone feels some type of way about it, they feel some type of way, they feel threatened by it. They feel that I'm doing the most, when I'm actually probably doing the least. But we realized and we knew that this conversation was going to be one of those brave, hard, but important conversations to be had. Because at the end of the day, these pictures are still here. They're not going anywhere. These pictures will be here. So we have to speak to the legacy of us being somebody. We have to speak to the legacy of us making a space and a spot for us. Me not worrying about how much room as a black woman I take up. Me wondering who's going to assume that I'm an angry black woman because I'm being firm about not changing my choices. White women have that privilege to be able to do that. And it's fair for me to have that without having the stigma of angry.
Right.
And,
Or even if you are angry, it's also
and it's okay if I
for
want to
you
be angry. I'm not
when
going to
you're
hurt anybody.
angry. Yeah.
Surely not. But the idea is like that whole explanation. You know what I'm saying? You got to go through the whole thing that goes back to the somebody. Okay, so qualify that somebody. What kind of somebody are you?
And what kind of somebody am I today, or in this situation, when I walk into that room, or at that
Right,
meeting,
right.
or at this job, or
Right. But also at the same point, I want to hear the honest opinion of those that are not black. Where this fits, how will that mold your interactions? Will it?
like the phrase we were tossing around earlier was, how does your I am somebody affect somebody else's I am somebody, and how does somebody else's I am somebody affect your I am somebody? When those assertions of identity coexist, and they can, that's one thing. But oftentimes they wind up in conflict with each other. And how do we respond to that? How do we address it? How do we get it so that we can all hang out at the top?
Right. And be a couple of somebodies.
Yeah, we can all be those first two clear
Somebodies.
shining I am somebody.
Right. And which is perfect, you saying that, because Adara and Hunter, they've created this here. So you literally can come and add your own verbiage to this. And I think that's super lit, actually, because that starts the conversation all over again. You know, this is the third one, poem, Jesse, this, and here we come with this. But this one begins to add in all of the things that the others didn't add in because time didn't allow it, wasn't existing at that time, wasn't talked about at that time. But this gives you an opportunity to add in where you are in this space. But I really want to hear from those that are not Black what this feels like, being in this room with this piece, understanding its history, and also its future, its legacy, how it affects us, and where it fits. Anybody brave enough?
We're really nice people. We won't bite, promise.
It's a hard conversation, no doubt, and we knew this. It was a hard conversation for me when I first saw it, because I had to ask myself, all right, so how does my I am somebody affect somebody else when I'm in the room with them? And why do I care? Wait a minute, do I care? That's the question. Do I care? In some small snippet, I probably do. In a small, but not enough to make me not say it. But we also had where men were having to say, I am a man.
That's another slogan.
Yeah.
That's
So
another one.
but they're also extremely simple slogans. That looking at him, you should know he's a man. There is no
obvious.
reason why he should be on the corner with a sign that says, I am a man. There's no reason for that. Because it's obvious, right?
But we have to reassert the obvious over and over again.
Truth.
None of the slogans are saying anything that shouldn't be known.
Right. Or revolutionary.
But it's revolutionary to state the fact.
What if this piece said, instead of I am somebody, what if it said I am enough? Would that have a different feeling? Would it mean anything different?
Maybe I am enough is something that more people can relate to. Even those that feel that they are somebody might still feel that they are not enough.
Oh, that's deep. That was deep there, sister. I gotta think on that one. Wow. Okay, yeah. What if you shorten it and it's I am?
Just I am.
I am. That gives you what? Power? It gives you a sense of space no matter where you are. Gives you a sense of creativity because it can be reborn every day. Today I am amazing, tomorrow I might not be. You know? But it gives you the opportunity to be and redo that, redo I am. That somebody, though, I think it puts a spotlight on.
Because it's specific. It's an essential statement. Like, it might seem at first that it's obvious. Everybody's somebody, right?
To somebody. We somebody to somebody.
Thank you for that. But by honing it in and calling on people to assert it for themselves, that means a lot. Because also sharing in that phrase, I mean, you were in that room when you came to Chattanooga.
Yeah, I remember.
And these voices in unison. I mean, seeing video of it is powerful. I cannot imagine
Yep.
standing on the floor.
Like my mom, yep.
Like, there's nothing like that. That's that affirming, and in a space where you feel completely safe to say that also.
Right. Given permission to say it.
Because also, like, let's be honest, right, real quick. We have examined this piece with two other groups of people. One was a private gathering. We reached out to some friends of ours who were like, artsy and movers and shakers in Chattanooga because we wanted them to help us to dig into this. And that was emotional.
Yeah.
And each of them came to the space really thinking about the Black community, but especially the facets of it that they represented or work for or work with. And it was really powerful and really moving for all of us. Helped us to set a context for how we needed to examine this piece. And the second time we worked with this piece was for Black professionals at the Hunter, for their event. So we were in here with like 80 or so Black professional folks from all across. 140.
Woo!
140.
Is that what that was?
I'm nervous.
I'm nervous after the fact. Yeah.
3 weeks later.
Woo!
But we sat there with those folks and we led them in a chant of like breaking down what it means, what this phrase means. And that got very personal.
Very.
Down to the individual. They had people having epiphanies as they meditated on just the phrase, I am somebody. And these are people who are asserting themselves every day.
Yeah.
But they had this moment to pause and really examine that. But then as we prepared for tonight, this was the first night that we had a crowd that wasn't just Black folks. And I'll be honest, I can only speak for me.
Yeah.
I was nervous about that.
Yeah.
Really nervous. I didn't know how this conversation would even start or how it would go. I still don't know how it's going to go.
It could go left any day.
But the fact that I perform for a living.
Yeah.
I get in front of crowds all the time, saying all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yep.
But this made me nervous.
Yeah. I was too.
This is personal.
It's very personal.
And it's charged.
And it's also, you hear the same things we hear. Oh no, it's going to be race again. They're going to talk about race again. Oh Lord, we are done with race. No, we're not. We're obviously not. Administration tells us that we're not. So no, we're not. But the truth is, I knew that when this conversation was going to happen, that it was going to be a different crowd, a different demographic. But that story don't change.
No matter who it's in front of.
It won't change. It's not going to change. This room isn't going to change.
The history doesn't change.
No.
The realities of today don't change.
No. What has to happen, though, those that are allies, they have to understand this part of it just as we do. And understand from that space where it comes from. Understand where it lives. And not necessarily be tender in that moment, but just understand that it's personal. It's personal when a woman, regardless of her color, has to exert herself in a room and make herself known as a woman and can do the job. That's one thing. But when you add Black woman, head wrap, loud at times, it's a different type of response. So for everyone to understand where this comes from and how it affects those that have to live it, those that have to say it, those that have to feel it, it's important. That's part of that being an ally. It's that major part of being an ally. And it's not just our history.
It's everybody's history.
Absolutely. Even the hard parts of it. The hard questions, the hard bravery, the rough parts. At BPATH, at the end, the Black professionals, we had them chanting, I am somebody to these people. Because the space speaks as if they don't know. Yeah, it's personal, very personal.
That's all I had to say. We want to engage the conversation. And even if you don't feel comfortable or ready to speak up on this or the issues around it right now, we do encourage people to have these conversations, because this still carries weight. So much. People, like black folks of all ages, passed through here both times that we were in here with this piece.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't matter across generations. Every one of us felt the weight of these words and this image, this connection to it. And people who didn't know each other came on different nights.
Right.
People were saying the same things. They were falling into the same interpretations, the same emotions, the same questions. And so that means something. Like, there's a resonance in this. And it goes beyond just 3 words. It even goes beyond this incredibly powerful and simply done but amazing piece of art. We walk in that history. And we can't ignore it. We can't ignore the realities of what the history of not being somebody, of having these people and people like them not even see us, and their children not even see us, and their children's children, on and on and on into 2020.
Right.
Has it gotten better?
Yeah.
In some, plenty of ways it has.
Yeah. We still have a way to go.
We still got a long way to go.
So I encourage you, when you look at this piece, yes, know its history, know where it came from, know where the slogan came from, but internalize it and make sure that you own it, that you are somebody, no matter who you are, where you are. But then in that same vein of thinking, know that the person that you're talking to, that they too are somebody, and that they count just as much. That's extremely important.
No matter who they are.
No matter who they are. And if that's a forethought, if that's a thought in the conversation, in work, in how you act, this wouldn't even have been necessary. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, for real, it wouldn't have been if that was how we were thinking already, but we're not. But let's go there. Let's be that, to where we recognize that part. And throughout all history, I challenge you all to look at history, look at that time, that shady time, that hard time, and you look at the different icons in those times and notice what they all had to say about identity. Sojourner Truth had to say over and over again, ain't I a woman? Constantly, forever having to assert who she was. Malcolm X asserted who he was by changing his name. No longer did he want to be Little. He wanted to be El Hajj Malik El Shabazz, something else. So knowing the history and knowing that there was always that dual identity is important.
People who are who are of Africa but not African, and who are of America but not welcome.
W.E. Du Bois, y'all. We thank you all for coming out. We encourage you to stay and do more convo with us. I'm not going anywhere yet.
And also,
please,
the touch screen here, leave your own statement. Leave your mark on that and in the conversation.
Come closer to it and look at it, but I encourage you to take this away with you in an internal way. I encourage you all to really, especially looking at this piece as you're creating your own, because that somebody now changes when it hits here, and it becomes something that you're personifying. Strength, longevity, legacy. It can be any of those things, but it came from that, derived from that space there. We anticipated this being a hard conversation, especially with this room. This room is heavy. I don't know, are y'all spooked in here? Yeah. It's kind of spooky to me a little bit. I just want to know if I was just me, but it was just me. It was just me. Because every time I come up here, Adara, you know this, every time I come over here, I'm like, hold up. Let me meditate before I get in good. Because it's just a little, it's a bit much.
It is.
It's a bit much.
Always.
These are the people that valued Black lives in a different way. For cattle, for
Monetarily valued.
absolutely. That was they believed that Black lives matter back then. Right. And it's such an dichotomy of that Black people, Africans, the natives, whatever they want to call, we were extremely important to the turning of their fields, the turning of their lives, the wet nursing of babies. We were important enough for that part until we began to read and speak. We became dangerous. That was the moment we began to take up too much space. I encourage you to come look at this. Please make something on. How long will this be here? This is going to be here forever, right? I mean, but just in different ways, using it in different ways. Who is the poet that did the poem originally, Adara?
He is on the label, and I forgot his name. He was a preacher in Atlanta.
Reverend William Holmes Borders. He was a civil rights activist in Atlanta. So you think about him even writing it and how it must have had a profound effect on Jesse Jackson to the point where he made it a part of his campaign. And then the legacy. Thank you guys for being with us. Thank you for braving parts of this conversation. We appreciate your energy here in this space, despite the spookiness.
Erika, you want to leave them with something?
Yeah, I'll leave with one last poem and then I'm out.
All right.
Thank you. Speaking to the ancestors, realizing that they require the best of us. Speaking to the ancients, realizing where our place is. Seeking refuge, we refuse to be a victim for. We require greatness. We require respect. We fight the jungle of racism to find a safe haven for. We are free thinkers. We are way makers. We are positive melanin beings. We are pushing through heavy doors, knowing that the ceiling can't hold us. Fighting discrimination, we won't fold. No, we'll just continue building, continue informing. We educationally bend the racist corners with the lean and the ease of a panther. For we are gathering in the mental Wakanda, for we are the vibranium, yo. We are the seekers, yo. We are next. We drip the universal constellations from our exhausted brows. We've got the stars in our eyes and the clouds are forever on our backs, and there is no slacking because we are GPSing our success. We are locking it in and down because we wear those crowns. We live to tell the saga and the epic take back, and we've got 45 reasons why. One love, y'all. Thank you again for being with us tonight. Thank you.